Welcome to the Brave New Wealth podcast, where we discuss optimizing wealth from a social, physical, mental, financial perspective. I'm your host, Julienna. Bienvenue à tout le monde. Bienvenido a todos. Herzlich willkommen. Everyone is welcome here. The Brave New Wealth podcast is sponsored by Engineer Tax Services, where I am a director. And the goal of Engineer Tax Services is to empower business owners, CPAs, real estate investors with proven expertise, education, innovative strategies to reduce clients' tax burden and make sure they have all the solutions available to them to protect their capital gain. In each episode, I bring you experts in their field who will share their unique insights on their experiences. Today, I'm really excited to have an expert and a friend, Rochelle O'Brien. So thank you for being here today. And I am going to cheat a little bit and read your bio because it's pretty impressive. So Rochelle is a seasoned entrepreneur and an expert business broker with a deep understanding of what it takes to buy, grow, and sell a business successfully. As the owner of Venture Opportunities, Rochelle guides business owners through one of the most critical and often very emotional chapters of their journey, which is the exit. With 2 decades of experience in entrepreneurship, business brokerage, and strategic planning, Rochelle has helped countless founders maximize the value of their hard-earned work, while also matching aspiring business owners with the right opportunities. But Rochelle isn't just about numbers and deals. She brings empathy, clarity, and a no-nonsense approach to navigating big transitions. Whether you're thinking about stepping into business ownership or preparing for your next chapter after selling, this conversation will give you fresh insights into building and exiting with intention. So Rochelle, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to come and have this conversation with us. And really, we want to get to know you and maybe be a little bit inspired. To begin with, I just want to ask you, if you just enter a room or are in an elevator, how do you like to present yourself and to tell the world who is Rochelle?
Sure. And thank you, Juliana, for having me today. I'm excited to be here and for that great introduction. So to try and break it down in 30 seconds or less, I normally tell people that I help business owners maximize their value so they can run their business optimally and exit with confidence. So that's kind of trying to make it in a nutshell.
I love it. Thank you for that. And before we dig into what you do, what your expertise is, what got you there, I do like to ask, what is something that you have done lately that was outside of your comfort zone that you knew it wasn't going to be easy, but you're like, you know what, I'm ready to stretch myself and growth doesn't come without going out of our comfort zone. So what is something, and it can be, from the mental wealth perspective, physical, social, financial, you pick.
Well, I would have to say, the biggest thing that I've done within the last 5 years is I became a business owner myself. So I've been working as a broker for a long time, but I took the leap and bought a business. And so now I would say that impacts every piece of it, the physical, the emotional, the wealth piece personally. And so now I really feel like I have a true understanding of everything a business owner goes through on a day-to-day basis. So I've learned a lot, and I feel like I learn a lot of lessons every day and every week. So I feel like it gives me some more experience to talk with about the clients and better relate to them too.
I bet that's a big leap to, go into entrepreneurship, not always knowing how things are going to go. And we'll dive into that a little bit more. It's not a straight line. There's ups and downs, and sometimes you don't know what tomorrow is going to be like. But I've watched you, and I've seen your resilience, and I've seen the good that you have brought and how you have handled your business, how you have grown. And it's been a beautiful thing to watch. I mean, you and I have kind of cross path in the middle of the journey where we're both in growth mode, and it's honestly been beautiful to see the progress and where you are today. And again, before we dig more into this, I want to know, what are some of the things that you have also done outside of work to try to balance the pressure of being a business owner or being an entrepreneur? What are some of the things you enjoy doing to counter the stresses of the everyday stresses?
Sure. I feel like that's something I'm still working on. I feel like it's very hard for me to separate the two, but I am working on, planning some time to get away, hanging out with the kids some more, finding some more fun things to kind of unplug, not for long periods of time. I'm not there yet. It's a goal, but at least for a few days or a long weekend, or to get out and stop looking at the computer, because I find myself always looking at messages or trying to make myself available. So just trying to unplug a little bit just to get that mental break.
Yes. No, I like that. And I fully understand what you're talking about. When, you love what you do and you really want to serve clients, it's hard to completely unplug. And I'm guilty of it. And I literally have to schedule unplugged time to spend time with the kids and not think about it, 24/7. But that also shows that we're passionate about what we're doing, but it can get to an unhealthy place where there's no room for anything else important. So I understand the feeling. So tell us maybe about some of your favorite places you like to go to escape and take your family.
Sure. So we enjoy Colorado. So we go to Durango sometimes to escape the heat in the summer. And we also, it's just nice and quiet, and it's not 100 degrees outside. And so you can walk around the mountains and just enjoy a little bit. And then we also, a little closer option, we have a lake house. So we try and go down there and just go out on the boat or sit on the dock or just be away from your normal life. So you're not, oh gosh, I have to do laundry now that I have 5 minutes to sit still. So you're kind of away from that. And that's very helpful. And the kids enjoy a change of scenery too.
Absolutely. No, that is so important, just to rejuvenate. Nature is always a great, calms you, teaches things, does all the things that we need as human beings. That's what I think. I mean, anytime I can go to nature, it's rejuvenating. So I'm glad you take some time to do that. Yes. So tell us a little bit about what you do on a day-to-day basis, and maybe if you want to, you can go back to how did you get there? Why did you pick this field? And we know that now you're an entrepreneur, so we're going to try to rewind and see what got you interested in this field and how you got there.
Sure, that's a good question. I have a degree in marketing going back into the old school, and I was just looking for a marketing job. And I ended up getting a job with a business broker in Colorado. So that's where I really learned the business. I didn't know business brokers existed. I didn't know what they did. And so working through that, that's how I learned the business. And then when I moved to Dallas, I knew I wanted to stay in the industry and work for another broker. So I just started cold calling some brokers that I liked their websites, and I thought they had the same values I did and really liked to help their clients. So that's how I ended up at Venture Opportunities, just a phone call, and showed up and told them all I knew how to do and that I had experience in the industry. And then working with them as their marketing person for a while. And then I worked my way up. I was like, I'm doing the marketing, but I love helping business owners. And it brings me so much joy to work with that business owner and help them maximize their value and capitalize on all their hard work. So just really be able to be a resource for the small businesses. And so after a few years of that, I just went and dove right in and just became a broker full time and left the marketing alone. And so then fast forward to about 5 years ago, I took over the company. So it's, I was just working on my deals and my clients. And then now I've got the company to run, and I'm learning every day how to work on that and keep things going.
That's wonderful. That's, your hard work paid off. And then I appreciate the faith that you put in yourself to be able to take the business on and move forward with it in the direction that you wanted to take it. So
it was a leap. It still is every day. So, I feel like I understand the way business owners think. So I feel them when, we get behind on some of our other stuff. And sometimes you got to remember to practice what I preach. When I tell them to set it up, I have to do it too. So.
Yes. There is something about the ability to help others sometimes better than we can help ourselves. And I'm still pondering that question. Like, why is it? Like, we see very clearly when it comes to helping others or, how to put two and two together. But then it can be a bigger challenge sometimes to do the same thing, to help ourselves. So,
yes.
Yeah. All right. So tell us, what are some of the things that you have noticed mostly that business owners who are getting ready to take that leap of selling their baby, selling their business, what are some things that they overlook that you have noticed? That's the main reason why you come in. It's to help them fill in those gaps. And
sure. I think, one overarching mistake I see or just something they overlook is not surrounding themselves with the right advisors. So maybe taking advice from their friend that sold a business in a completely different market or industry, or using Google, but not actually getting someone to get in and look at your specific business and figure out what you can do to make sure your business is set up for the best possible exit. There's a lot of differences between, industries or markets or even the size of your business and what people look for. And if you're not prepared, you can leave a lot of money on the table. And so they come and sit down with me and I tell them how much their business is worth. And a lot of times they're disappointed. And had we spoken earlier, 3 or 4 years before, they could have fixed some of those things. So if they still have motivation left to go back in and fix it, they can. But sometimes they're just tired and done, and we just sell it the best that we can where they are.
So what's your approach to help them be realistic about the numbers and what's on the table while they're in that very vulnerable moment?
It's hard. I mean, and I hate that part when I tell them a number that's not what they wanted or not what they needed to go on to their next chapter happily. We just try and take a look at it from a real perspective. So you have to have a business set up that a buyer can take over and be able to pay their loan payment or service however they paid for it and still make good money, or they're not going to want to buy your business. So you have to try and get them to look at it from a buyer's perspective. You say, this is what a buyer's going to think about. And we try and a lot of times they can see it from a buyer's perspective and how it makes sense. They might not want to because it's their baby and they've put in all these tears and blood and sweat and all their hard work. And sometimes it's hard to look at it without the emotion, when you're just looking at the numbers and how things are set up. So we try and ease into it and show them that. And then we can show them, hey, if this isn't what you want, here's some things you can do. I mean, we can help you. You can go do it yourself. Maybe if you think about it, you would be better off exiting in a few years.
Yeah. No, those are hard decisions, but
They are.
It's reality if you haven't prepared. So with that, what would you say to current business owners who are already looking at it? Because as we know, when you have a business, you have to think of what's going to be next, whether it's this year or in 20 years. It's always good to have that perspective ahead of time to know what type of steps to take all along the way and not be pressed against the wall last minute, like you just explained. So what would be maybe, I know there's a lot more than 3 to 5 steps to begin with from the very beginning in order to set your business, in the right position for the time of the exit?
Sure. I would say, step one is just talk to someone who's sold businesses before. I talk to owners all the time and just give them a few minutes of my time so they understand what to set up, what to look for. You can take assessments on the different value drivers now, and it's never too early to, kind of put a grade on your business to see where you are in the buyer's eyes. And so then as you're making decisions to grow your business, you have a roadmap on things you should do and work on. to try and make the exit best. So I would say that's step one.
Okay. And then what would be a second thing that, they can do ahead of time to prepare?
Sure. I think another really good way to look at it is sometimes with these small businesses, the business is really wrapped up around the owner. They're making all the final decisions. They're doing all of the sales. They're, or most of the delivery of the product or service is, they're key to the business. So set your business up to where you can go on vacation for a couple weeks and not check in.
Yeah.
Empower your people to be able to do their job and actually let them make decisions. So train them, do what you can do to give them the opportunity to learn and grow and do things how you want. But if you can get that piece down where you can hire good people and train them, it makes your life better too. So you have a well-run business that you don't have to micromanage every day. And then you have happier employees too.
Yeah, no, that's so valuable, so important, and so hard. I've seen it with people I've worked with who just couldn't let go, and you can see how it kind of damages the company a little bit, because it's like, do you trust the people you hired or do you not? And then they're overstressed because they don't give themselves a break. So that's super important. Okay, so give us a third one. Give us a third kind of foundational tip that business owners can implement in order to be prepared.
I would say that, another one is just making sure your financials are right. And making sure you're accurately tracking what expenses your business actually has. So we see a lot of people that run a lot of personal expenses through their business, and they're trying to minimize their income tax, which we all understand. But, when you go for a buyer, they don't always accept those add backs, or when you're trying to say, but those Costco expenses were for my house, or it's hard to do that. And so the buyer's hands are tied too with financing on how much of a loan they can get on your business, because you're showing a smaller profit than it maybe truly makes. So start unraveling some of those things.
Yeah, no, super important. And even though you do have financial advisor, you have accountants, CPAs helping you with the business, I think as a business owner, it's important to understand the basics. I'm in this industry as well, where we're helping, people with their finances and their tax. And if you don't understand even a little bit what is available, you don't even know what question to ask your accountant or your financial advisors. And so it's important to get educated. And I say today, in this day and age, it's so easy with ChatGPT and everything, all the knowledge. So just taking the time to understand the basics so that they can see what's wrong. Because I'm sure you've come across those situations where you show them the numbers, but they're still super confused and don't even know what it means.
Yes.
So,
and so that's when, someone that helps with taxes like you do, or other advisors that can help with making sure the books are set up right, or they're just easy to understand, and sometimes it's little things, but I know, and I'm guilty of it too, as a business owner, sometimes we just get overwhelmed. And so we're just trying to keep up, and then we're just getting by and making sure we file our taxes. We don't get in trouble. We're just getting done. So
without digging into different aspects. And again, you have the advisors and the experts for a reason, because they've studied, they know their thing. But to be able to understand the basics is important. I see this, every day on my calls when I talk to the different real estate investors. And my biggest joy is to just see their eyes light up when they are learning things that they have never heard before, even though they've been investing for years and years and years. But the accountant, the CPA has not shared that information with them. And to me, because I guess it's my field now, it seems like this is basic information they should have told you. But it also shows that sometimes the advisors that you took on are maybe limited in their knowledge. And so having multiple advisory sources is important, but that doesn't take away the importance of doing your homework and digging a little bit to understand better. So I see that. Tell me maybe an example of a company that you helped and, it was a very positive outcome because of the value that you brought, where they were before and then after, and kind of what happened in the middle to help them come out with a very happy situation?
Sure. I would have to say, trying to think of the best example. I had a lady come to me. It was probably 5 years ago. And she was like, I'm done with my business. I'm fed up. It's too exhausting. I want to sell it and do something different. I was like, okay, let's sit down. We'll go through and get a value right now. So where you are today, this is what you could sell it for. And then I also run them through an assessment of what drives business value too. So we can see where they are and how they score. And when I did that, she wasn't happy with the number, which happens a lot, but she took in some of the points that we made on the different ways to look at your business from a buyer's perspective. Look at those value drivers. What else could you do? And so we kind of put together a roadmap for her to follow to grow the business and maybe set it up to be more optimal to sell. And in the process of doing that, she decided she loved her business again. It wasn't stressing her out anymore. She's making more money. So she decided to keep it. So that's a success story. So she's young. She still has a lot of time left to run this business and grow it and really make it into what she wants. And she can sell when she's ready, but at least she knows what it looks like and how it works, what's going to drive the most value.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. And to see that you're going to do the best for the client and not just look at, okay, this is not going to bring me anything, so trying to twist it so that it works to your advantage rather than the client's advantage. So tell me another example where you actually sold a business and you were like, this was a good one. Like, I saw it, everyone's comes out happy on the other side. Yes.
I did work, and this one probably is kind of through COVID. So everything was crazy and the world was on fire. But I started working with this company. It was in the construction industry right before COVID happened. And we'd gone through numerous buyers and lots of financial analysis, and it was kind of wearing the seller out. I was a second generation owner, but we came across just that right person where the buyer and the owner really hit it off. They liked each other. They had the same beliefs, the same values. And so it just went really smoothly as far as business transactions go. So there's still a lot of paperwork, but they just understood each other. And so there wasn't a lot of arguing with the attorneys because they understood. They just wanted it to be fair for both sides and make sure everybody was protected and set up for the best possible outcome. And that one was just it took a little longer because of COVID and things just kept happening, but we made it through and everybody's just happy and they're thriving and they have a great exit story, a great buying story, and the business is just going crazy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I love that you have those stories because it's what helps you also in times when it gets a little bit harder. You have, you can do it. You can bring that value and you've seen it all the way through. So that's pretty amazing. So I also want to ask you, what are some of your goals this year for yourself, for your business, so that we know how to support you?
Sure.
Tell us.
One of my biggest goals this year is just education. I want to be able to provide that education like we were talking about earlier. That's so important because like you said, the business owner might not know who's out there to help them. Like maybe you could get a fractional marketing person or a fractional CFO. And if you're not ready to take that leap, there's different things that you can work on in different stages of your business. So that's really my goal for the rest of the year is to step out of my comfort zone and do as much speaking and podcasts or videos as possible just to help those business owners understand what options they have and make sure they're set up for success.
I love that. I love that you were able to come on and share this. And I love working with you. We've done some things together and we will continue. So I'm excited to also find ways to support you. And I've seen you already doing it. Like you're more out there. You are very consistently posting and having lunch and learns and webinars. And so I'm glad you're doing that. And I definitely want to support you. So what is the best way for people who want to work with you to get a hold of you? Like what is your preferred way of communication?
Sure. I mean, you can reach out through LinkedIn or just call me. My number's on the website at bizdealmaker.com and or the contact form. Just I love helping small business owners. It's a passion of mine. And so anything that I might be able to help with, if I'm not the right person to help them, I know somebody who is most likely, so I can make connections. So I'm trying to build relationships with business owners early and be their resource and guide to help them have the best outcome, even if it's 10 years from now.
Yes. And what type of businesses you mostly are targeting or working with? Are they specific industries that you work with, or what is your preferred market?
We work with businesses in all different industries. We have a lot of demand right now from buyers for maybe your home service businesses, industrial, construction, like your core businesses that aren't going to be taken over by Amazon or some giant that comes in. So your more steady businesses, those are really sought after right now by buyers. So those are great businesses to work with.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'm really glad that we know now what to focus on, how to help you. We will definitely put all of this in the notes. And I hope that, you'll come back and tell us more stories about who you've helped and how business owners can prepare. I'm really grateful that you were able to come on today, Rochelle. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I enjoy working with you and your podcast and just out there helping the business owners be successful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Brave New Wealth podcast. I'm really glad that Rochelle O'Brien was able to come on and have this discussion with me and teach us more about how to prepare as a business owner for a successful exit. Again, this podcast is sponsored by Engineer Tax Services, where we support CPAs, real estate investors, with some of those less common tax strategies that significantly lower your tax burden. So don't hesitate to reach out so we can help you with those different needs. I hope you will join me for the next episode. I will see you next time. À bientôt.